We have S, S+, and then the lowest we go is B+. If you made a Tekken 7 tier list, I think some characters would actually go down to like D. Even if you play Devil Jin, you're still B+. And you always hear, oh, he's garbage. If you play Devil Jin, you can't win a single match. The reason we say he's bottom 5 is because you can't show up to EVO top 8 and play against Arslan Ash and have this down for 1. If you're a beginner intermediate player, this doesn't apply. Any character can beat you, and you can beat anyone using any of these characters. What's up guys, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always. I'm gonna give it an attempt at least, we'll see if I run with what I do today. I'm gonna try and record a new tier list on Tekken 8. We just had Heihachi not too long ago. They did such an incredible job with him, like hats off to them. It's just, I've never had more fun with a Tekken character. But so let's make a tier list. I'm gonna do something I've never done before. You can hear the eagles here in the background. It's because I'm here. Here's the tier list. I'm gonna pause as well. One thing I want to say straight up is a disclaimer. This is my opinion and my opinion alone. So take it for what you will. We're all gonna disagree on this game. It's one of the most complicated games out there and opinions are gonna go left and right. I would also like to say that this is an extremely balanced game. And I'm trying to really point this out here in that we have S, S+, and then the lowest we go is B+. So what I'm trying to say is that if you made a Tekken 7 tier list, I think some characters would actually go down to like D. Like proper bad. But in this game, it's such a balanced game that shit characters do not exist. We're gonna get into it, I'm gonna talk about all characters, but it's like, I think Asuka is probably the worst character on paper, but that's not gonna stop Asuka players from absolutely bodying you online. Every character in this game has strong tools. It's just that certain characters have way stronger tools. In the coming balance patch, I want to see buffs to these characters. Some buffs, but what we really need are nerfs to these guys. Like big nerfs. So it's a very balanced game. It's a very balanced game. Everyone can compete, including Devil Jin players. Even though they like to say, oh my god, oh, we are Jesus on the cross. Oh my god, we suffer every day. And it's like, no, you're losing because you're not very good at Tekken. This character has bullshit. But again, we're gonna get into it. And it's not in like giga order of things. It's somewhat in order here, but don't take this as like me saying, oh my god, Feng is much better than Bryan. I just threw this out. It's more, this means the most to me. S+, S, A+. The ranking of them left to right doesn't mean that much to me. And in this tier list, I'm also, as I showed you, I have a game in the background here. So for the first time ever, I'm gonna demonstrate a little bit with the character as well. So we're gonna start with Dragunov. Why is he undisputed the best in the game? So if you follow like competitive Tekken, you know this guy is everywhere. He's winning pretty much every event. All the top players are tier whoring playing Dragunov. The reason we picked Dragunov is because he arguably has the best tools in the game, but he's also very basic to play. Much more basic than before. And this is something tournament players want. They want ease of use, and they want a strong character, which is why we have Yoshi high up, we have King high up, but you won't see that much of them in tournaments, and it's because while they are super strong, they're much harder to pilot. Again, this guy, they both have some brain dead stuff, but they are certainly harder to pilot than this guy. And Nina is harder to pilot than Dragunov, so Arslan gives her a shot, right? A big old shot, Arslan Ash does. But most people do not, because they're like, okay, Dragunov is the best and he's the easiest. That's why they play Dragunov. So Dragunov has better movement than your average Tekken character, and he also has better mids and lows than your average Tekken character. Sneak Force sort of defines this character. It's an ultra broken heat engager that hits from the other side of the stage. I don't know why it has so much reach. So this is arguably the best move in the game. I think most top players would agree. It's a heat engager that hits from 50 miles away. It's a mid. For some reason, it is +7 on block. I don't know why. It also hits grounded, and if you delay your sneak here a little bit, it will track really well to both sides. to both sides if you just delay it a little bit. So that's arguably the best mid, and then he complements this with his other S tier mids that he's always had, like this, or while running 2, which is a counter hit launcher for a fuck ton of damage. It is +4 on block. This character doesn't sacrifice anything, he has everything. He has decent enough poking, he has decent enough strings, his lows are also incredible. This character has never had a heavy low. They sort of broke the character, giving him the best mid and then complementing it with a super strong low. Something the character shouldn't have. And down 2 is still an incredible low. Pretty much homing. Super fast, evasive, only -13 on block. And they also gave him this low for some reason. He has a perfect throw game. His throws also have 11 frame startup. Typically characters have 12 frame startup on throws, so that's also something to take into consideration. His damage is still kind of busted. It was even worse on release, but you've seen this wall throw. Him being able to do this throw is obscene on any wall splat. It's just absolutely obscene. And also huge wall travel, plant you on the wall, he doesn't use his bound, and then as soon as you're on the wall, he'll do this. It's just a combination of having the best attacks, strong movement, best damage, very all-round moveset where he just can't do anything. It's just the fact that everything is so S tier on this character. That's why he's the best. But then we have Nina, who's also like absolute god mode, and this is a character you'll see Ash play. She's also like super all-round and super high damage, strong movement. Most female characters have strong movement in Tekken, but she's really defined by her absurd poking. You'll see Arslan do this a lot, like down for 1-2, and then into whatever. He can do down for 1-2 alone, which is -3 on block, or he does down for 1-2 4, which is a counter hit launcher, and this is on block -6, or he'll do down for the 1-2 into her step. What's that called? Heihachi step or something? Sneak, whatever, sway. This is a sequence he does a lot. Down for the 1-2 into... No, Heihachi step is stepping back, whatever. I'm not that interested in Nina. So why is this so strong? It's because for some reason, down for the 1-2 here jails. What this means is that if you block the initial mid, the down for the 1, you can't duck the following right punch. This is absolutely absurd. And in older Tekken games, many characters had stuff like this, including Steve. But here it's like, this is a sequence that's natural and completely risk-free, with a 13 frame down for 1 startup. So Ash mostly runs around his opponents doing this. Do you try to interrupt me? Counter hit launcher, but safe on block. So this is step 1, Nina God mode poking. Then we have step 1, which if she dashes out of it on hit is +23, as you can see. On block, this is +10 on block. And then she can cancel this if she wants by... let's see, I'll hold back, and then I do a sidestep, and I can cancel it right into standing. And then I can do whatever I want. Sidestep 1 is an absurd poking button. And then we have down free for free, which starts with a low, with 16 frame startup. This is safe on block. As soon as you block the second kick there, which most people do even at the top level, there's nothing you can do. In Tekken 7 you could step this kick, you can't anymore. This is a really dumb string because it's a counter hit natural that starts with a low. So this is guaranteed, and gives a guaranteed... That's guaranteed. So this is your almost half your health bar, it's like 40%. If she hits this on a wall, you're going to get wall splatted into 1,000,000 damage. Corsica for 2 alone is an incredible move. Again, it hits in Oki, it's safe on block, It's a heat engager. It's got a ton of reach. It will launch if she dashes out of it. It's insane. Already you have really good buttons, and then she has a perfect throw game. This is guaranteed, by the way. You can stay on the ground to reduce the damage, but the fact that she has a 2 break, 1 break, 1+2 break into super nasty Oki. Downback 2 is a homing button, a homing mid counter hit launcher. That is a ridiculous -5 on block and hits across the stage. Well, sort of across the stage. It has a lot of reach. Like counter hit launching mid. Sidestep 1+2 is a safe mid launcher. She has one of the best power crushes in the game. She'll go into heat, and then she'll do... You've seen how this goes in top level play. Arslan will move around. And then he'll do a perfectly safe power crush attempt, because he'll dash out of it at +5. That's very strong. Her damage is incredibly high, involving guns, chip damage, strong heat smash. She has a 50-50 with wipe the floor. Unseeable also guarantees Core Circle 4-2. I did it too slow. She has an orbital. She really has everything. And forward 4 is an incredible tool as well. What? +2 on block if I dash out of it. Forward 4 is very strong. She has poking, she has this, safe counter hit launcher for 1,000,000 damage. This character has literally everything and super high damage, and that's how it goes in the S tiers of Tekken 8, but it's the fact that her poking is just so unbelievably absurd in my opinion, which just cements her as S tier. With all of these characters, there's so much we could get into. But I'm not gonna... typically when I do a tier list, it's like 3 hours. I already feel like I'm indulging a little bit, so I'm gonna try and do it a little bit faster. So the next character I would like to talk about is Yoshimitsu. I made a video on him not long ago, but he's an interesting example, just like Dragunov, and a character that used to be very low tier in Tekken 7, that just got steroids upon steroids and is now like insanely overtuned. The biggest problem with Yoshi is the damage, because Yoshi and Xiaoyu have always been allowed like very unconventional launchers, like a 6-frame startup counter hit launcher, or an unblockable sword sweep like this that launches. The way this was balanced in prior games was that, well, after they get those crazy launchers, they get like 50 to 60 damage. But the problem with Tekken 8 is that they've given Yoshi very high combo damage and like super high wall travel. Especially in heat, like it doesn't matter where you are. He'll throw you onto the wall, he'll do this, and then he will set up absurdly broken Oki. This is mostly due to the new forward 1+2. Being an absolutely absurd Oki button. This is the best steel pedal in the game. It's very fast, it will do a lot of damage, it will flip you like a steel pedal. And if Yoshi sees you stand up, on reaction, all the Yoshis will now dash out of it for huge chip damage and now putting you in a Yoshi in a +5 situation. Or if you try to interrupt him, he can check you with the all-powerful 1-1. If you respect him, you'll see something unblockable like this, and you're just going to eat it. Or how about he does another fucking sword sweep, or again if you try and press, he's always threatening you with flash, which is just giga broken in this game due to the damage output being a 6-frame launcher. We can go into his super broken Kin tech trap. Again, I have a video on this if you want to get into more specific stuff, but this is a tech trap post-launch, which is super broken. It's completely unavoidable. If you tech roll and or do a get-up kick, whatever, this will fucking slam you on block, right? And he gets a guaranteed back to 2, which will at least heat engage. If he's in heat, he will straight up re-launch you, and you're dead. And God, like his 1-1 is sort of a God button in this game. It's so strong. It's completely safe, natural, On counter hit, the second hit will knock down into a guaranteed forward 1+2 and into his super broken Oki. If he is in heat, this move will knock down into a guaranteed forward 1+2. This is unavoidable. This will also wall splat. Super fun. When you wake up in heat and he has you at the wall and he's throwing all of his broken Oki. And if you try to challenge him at any point during this broken sequence, he has a 10 frame wall splat. I don't know why the character has this. I just don't know. The second hit when he is in heat will counter it launch you. You're now launched. And then Spinaroonie is the best sidestep utility in the game into whiff punish. Complementing all of this is also very strong, to be honest, fundamental tools. Like one of the best down for twos in the game, in my opinion. 3-4 is a very strong neutral button, -6 on block. Natural, mid, tracks quite a bit. Super long reach, full crouch down for 4, counter it launching, homing low. Back 1-1, like this. It's +4 on block. Decent enough down for 1 series. Down back 3-3. Up forward 4, up forward 4. I could get into a lot of things, but also his unbelievably broken healing mechanic. You can get him down to that little health. He has like 5-10% left. He pops heat, lands a flash on you, and he can literally recover at the very least 50% of his health bar. I've seen Yoshimitsu's land a combo and go from 10% to 70% health. Due to how much health he gets back when he's in heat, and he lands these enhanced sword swings. Did you see my health? When you're in heat, he can land multiple of these. Flash counts as enhanced sword, and then all of these, his wall combo, he can do multiple flashes in a combo, and suddenly he can have 70% of his health bar back. So for many reasons, Yoshi is ultra broken, and if someone said like they think he's the best character in the game, I would certainly listen to an argument here. So King is really strong. We don't see a lot of him in tournament, and it's because he's much harder to play than a lot of people will tell you. He has some problems with like evasion. His backdash is ultra poor. So he will rely on like character specific stuff, like identity stuff, like Jaguar Step and Muscle Armor. You've seen Vajon probably play King. He is the King player you'll see in tournaments. Again, demanding character. But if you can pull it off, you have one of the best characters in the game. First off, what the countered property did to his throws. Like, King has the best throws in the game, by far. And suddenly throws having a 15 frame break window if a counter hit means a fuck ton for this character. If he does one of his blue spark throws, there we go. This one has a 10 frame startup giant swing. If you press into a blue spark, there's a 7 frame break window. This, for all intents and purposes, makes the throw unbreakable. So this is quite a bit of 10 frame counter hit utility. He giant swings, you press into it, you can't break this down reaction, and you might eat a giant swing into a wall, which means like 70 damage into Oki. And then he complements his counter hit game, not only with the throws, and throws are very strong in this game. Combos got nerfed in Tekken 8 due to giving you a lot of recoverable health. You can see that gray health. This means that Jin can now pop his heat, and he can, half of that combo won't have mattered. If he pops heat and gains momentum on me, he will regain half of that combo damage. Combos were nerfed in Tekken 8, quite a bit so. But if King lands throws on you, there is no recoverable health. It's always permanent damage. This makes his throw game also very, very strong. So it's not only about the counter hit utility. And he has a very strong throw game with constant 50-50s, right? Any startup here into chain throw is a pure 50-50. You can't tell by the throw animation. Strong King players will literally run into blue spark giant swings, which I can't display here. Sorry, I'm not warmed up. Wish I could show it, but that will look exactly like a Shining Wizard. It's constant 50-50s. But complementing the counter hit utility is one of the best counter hits in the game. Down for 2-1. This is a 13 frame mid Twitch confirmable counter hit launcher into 75 damage. If you do the right combo, or is it 76? This is absurd. I don't think any other character has a 13 frame mid counter hit launcher that's Twitch confirmable. I think it's completely unique to King. And then this is still one of the best lows in the game, even though it's steppable. It's super strong. Muscle armor has, in my opinion, unlimited potential. The fact that it's safe on block is a little bit of a joke if he does muscle armor too. But the fact that he can absorb an attack and then launch you is just giga tier. That's unlimited utility. And then to compensate for losing homing throws, he got a wave dash, which serves to realign his pokes and realign his throws. Having a wave dash is huge for King. Can also wave dash into these key attacks, which is super strong. Yeah, and then just really strong poking. Strong poking, strong punish, down for 1-2 is really good. I don't have to go further than that, I think. It's a very, very strong character. Again, this is also where I want to say, like, this is not in 100% order. I think you could put Alisa lower, but she could be there. It's a pretty stupid character. But defining Alisa has always been some of the best movement in the game. She has a large degree of match control due to having super strong movement, being able to dash out of your face, dash into your face at will. A high degree of match control. And then she complements with some of the best pokes in the game. She's always had this. Very strong. Then you mix that with this one. Sorry, I never play Alisa. So you mix that with this one into guaranteed follow-up. Everything is super strong. Movement, controlling the pace. When do we interact? When do we not interact? Punishment is super strong. Poking is super strong. Basic mix-up utility is super strong. And then she basically does down 1+2, or she enters destruction mode. You pray, because she has such strong frame lockdown. She has such strong space control. No, this sequence is super strong. Does a million chip, locks you down. Well, what's the sequence? Back to one. So this one is basically very long range homing mid. It doesn't have a homing trail, but I've never been able to sidestep this. It feels fully homing. It's a natural for 33 damage, knocks down. And for some reason, this sequence is -3 on block. And I'm just puzzled. One button does a million damage. How do you do the guaranteed follow-up again? You know what? We gotta move these things along. She gets a guaranteed follow-up here for like 50-60 damage. It will also floor break into a combo. She slams you into the ground. In general, absurd chip and frames in this stance. She can very easily kill you while you're blocking, and everything is plus, and you can't sidestep, you can't really do anything. Destruction mode is absurd, and I'm sure it's going to see nerfs. In prior games, it wasn't this all multi-purpose, do everything. So I'm sure it's gonna get nerfed. The next character we're gonna look at is Jin. Jin is the strongest Mishima type character in Tekken 8, and he's also the easiest. I would say easiest could go to Devil Jin as well. He's also designed to be quite easy, but it's probably Jin. The thing with Jin is that he can do everything. He's sort of a collection of God buttons. What I mean with God button is attacks where you just throw them out and your opponent can't do anything about it, almost. It's a flawless attack where like you're sitting there like, what's the counterplay here exactly? It's like, a lot of people don't know this, but his electric, again, it's +5 on block like other electrics. It launches for obscene damage if you do the right combos. It just launches for obscene damage. But it has a lot of tracking. Like, I find Jin's electric to track more than the other Mishimas. A lot of tracking. That's a big deal on electric. And then you have a Demon Paw, which has more tracking, more reach. And then Jin does something like this, for example, 2-1. And this looks like a high, in my opinion. You see those two hitboxes there. This is a high mid with 10 frame startup. It just boop, boop. They can't duck this. They can't do anything. You can't duck and punish him. He just keeps you in check, and he's -3. So a lot of Jins just fart around like this. And then, even though he's only -3, he can threaten you with a follow-up kick that is very delayable, that is safe on block, and which, of course, knocks you down. Into a guaranteed follow-up, into Oki. This kick will also wall splat. This is a god button. So, pretty god button. Not exactly a god button, but it's up there. And here is an additional god button. This is the best heat smash in the game, in my opinion. I don't know why it does 50 damage, while it also wall splats for guaranteed follow-ups from 50 miles away. This is like minimum combo and it's half-life. If he does it here, best thing you can hope for is blocking it into +21 into mix-up. It does chip, it tracks more than it should, it has more reach than it should. Basically, when this character goes into heat, you don't do anything due to the threat of this. Then we can go into all kinds of things. We can go into one of the best evasive attacks in the game. We can go into Scourge. We can go into a Hell Sweep that gives better Oki than it should. We can go into having a safe mid launcher in 4-4-3. We can go into this move. We can go into having a better Samsara than Devil Jin. We can go into forward 4. We can go into forward 4 into Zen mix-up. We can talk about Zen mix-ups in general. We can talk about having a perfect throw game, because of course he has that as well. We can talk about having a really strong evasive low poke. We can talk about Damage 4. We can talk about back to 1. We can talk about 3-1 Zen cancel. We can talk about 1-3. We can talk about his parry. Parry where you can absorb, for example, a 4-4 and then you can launch them for it. We can talk about his very high damage, where he used to have problems with range and suddenly has one of the best jabs. You see how he dashes forward with the jab? And then it's down for 1. It's back 1-2. He's having a 14 frame while standing punish. Like, are you kidding me? 14 frame while standing punish. Having a super strong Masku tech. This one. Yeah, Jin is very, very, very strong. So, to round out S+ tier, I have put Martial Law. And this is a character we've seen quite a bit in tournaments. This is an interesting character to talk about in Tekken 8 as well, because in my opinion, the one thing that made him really interesting, I mean, outside of being basically Bruce Lee, but I always really appreciated DSS transitions in Tekken 7 and Legacy Tekken games. It added execution and a very high skill ceiling and player expression to the character. Would be nice to see laws that played without DSS, because it was so hard to use, and then you saw expert laws using DSS really well, and it like completely changed the character. And I always thought that was very interesting. We have a very all-round character here, with one of the best down for 2s in the game. It tracks really well to both sides, it's -7 on block, it has very decent reach, and it's like a safe mid launcher, right? This is very strong. And he has basically everything else you would want to see in a all-round character, including like very strong tracking. This is a very strong steel pedal, of course, that you'll see here. This interaction, this counter it launches for a lot of damage. Just in general, in his neutral states, that's outside of heat, he has very strong tools, like very strong counter hits. He also has a launching throw, which you can also use to punish like power crushes. you know, blocking power crushes, like mid power crushes, they're like, you know, minus 13, whatever. You can actually guaranteed launch. You can punish with this, as you can on a rage art, you know. And very strong tracking. Like, it's very hard to step law. But the reason I put him in S tier is as soon as he goes into heat, he's God mode. It's like with, you know, Heihachi, we like to say now that he can go final boss, warrior instinct for 1 round. And oh my god, it's so broken. But you gotta realize that multiple characters in this game are so unbelievably strong when we are in heat that they are basically warrior instinct Heihachi. And they do it every single round. So the reason he's so stupid in heat, well, one of the reasons is that he's threatening you now with a 10 frame confirmable counter hit launcher, which is his jab here, 1-1. He does this, and if he sees you press into this, which is very easy to do, he will confirm into a full launch. And he has very high damage like the other S tiers. He can save his bound here for the wall, you know, and he'll do this sequence you've seen many times, blah, 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 into this, and it does 1,000,000 damage, or he'll do this Moscow tech, this one, and it's very, very, very strong. And then complementing heat is Nunchuck goes safe on block, and turns into a natural hit launcher, and as you know, this is a steel pedal. That is, oh sorry, okay, boom. This is a steel pedal, but it's turned into a natural hit launcher, safe on block. Yes. And then everything launches when he is in heat. We talked about this, we talked about 1-1-1 launching, back 1-2-2. Also hit 14 frame, mid confirm, counter hit launch. This will also launch. For like 1,000,000 damage, right? He 50-50s you with slide or the safe upward free. You know, he fakes a slide like teabags in your face and then like this. In heat, this launches. Everything launches when Lo is in heat. Everything. And of course, when you're in heat, what happens universally, you deal a ton of chip damage, and that's pretty nice when you have access to perfect ESS without execution. So now every law is a law god that we would witness in Tekken 7. Everyone now has access to while setting 4. I just hold forward and I'm plus 16. To do this in Tekken 7, you needed tremendous execution. So what happens when you have plus 16 from a while standing 4 and you have access to huge chip damage in heat and all of these tools I mentioned? You are just blocking and you'll see your health bar evaporate on block. That's what happens. Another very nice counter hit when you are in heat is step 3. He's now launched. Yeah, and that's minus 13 on block. There's many more things we could get into, but this character is absurd. It's an absurd character. So now we are in S tier, and here, maybe controversially, I've put Feng in S. He's not in S+. I'm gonna try and explain this one. This is funny, like, Feng is pretty complicated to play. We used to say with Jin in Tekken 7 that to really play Jin well, you had to master the arsenal, the package. The nice, ooh, plumpy package. You don't have to do that anymore with, you've seen this with Tekken 8 Jins. They throw Scourge, or 2-1-4, or a Demon Pour, a Heat Smash, and they just won. They beat you. They're great at Tekken. The thing with Feng is that this still stays true for him in Tekken 8, in that you gotta master the package. Feng is nowhere near as streamlined as Jin is. Here you really have to use his assortment of tools to get it working properly. You just have to. So there's a complexity there, but I think leads to a lot of top players now. They've seen enough nerfs on the character to the point where they're like, I'm not gonna bother anymore. Where's Dragunov? On the release of Tekken 8, you could pay the price of learning Feng and the intricacies because he was so busted. Like, this sweep was just so unbelievably stupid. Really dumb shit at the wall. They nerfed his damage a lot. And that's actually one of the biggest problems he has right now, is that compared to the other characters you'd put in S+ tier, his damage isn't all of that. Like, don't get me wrong, it still hurts when you get launched by Feng, but it just doesn't hurt as much as it does with those other characters. I think that's also something a lot of top players will say, and that they feel that the combo damage is not there anymore compared to the other S+ tier characters. And they also nerfed his heat in that he no longer gets the super dumb... Sorry, how do I backturn? He no longer gets the super dumb 50-50 here. He still has that, but this used to be a launcher, and they nerfed it into... You get a knockdown into a follow-up. I think this heat, nerf to his heat, including the nerf to this hitbox, was honestly enough to deter a lot of top players from using him. So damage, heat nerf, complexity. If you master the package, he's still S tier. Like, this character can do anything. And he has some absurd tools like his jet thrust knee, back 3, down back 3, down 2, forward 4. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I just think he got nerfed enough to the point where he's like, he's S tier now, and he's not S+ tier. Again, I think a lot of top players don't want to play him due to the complexity and not being streamlined enough, like, say, Dragunov Jin, for example. This brings us to Claudio. I've placed him too low in my tier lists historically, especially with Tekken 8. But the more I've played, the more I realize this character is batshit crazy. He is so strong. And this is to the point where, like, I have him here, but if someone placed him here, I'd be like, fair enough. He's pretty basic. Like, he runs around throwing a few, like, basic attacks. No strings, nothing fancy. It's much of a single hit character like Kazuya, Bryan, Paul. Plays that fundamental game. It's just that there's no execution and the buttons are so overwhelmingly powerful and do everything. Back 1 is just one of the best moves in the game. -5 on block. He takes a back step. He's almost back to neutral. This, you know, knockdown mid, homing. The move has no weaknesses. But the worst part of this attack is the situation it puts you in at the wall, where you're just standing there and you have no choice but to stand guard now. Because if you press, he can counter hit you with this. If you try and duck, you die. If you sidestep, you die as it's homing. And then puts you on the wall. And then the second point is Claudio's insane damage in this game. A lot of people still don't understand this, but he's one of the most damaging characters in the game. If he gets the right launch on you, which just means something like him being in heat, landing a 12-frame counter like this. Like, he starts looping stuff like this, and it never ends. It's just... okay, I don't know the combo routes, but you've seen this. I still hadn't used my screw, so I'll do that, and then you can do like down 1-2, put them on the wall. He's one of the highest damage characters in the game, and a lot of people still don't know this, I feel. And then that's mixed with, yeah, stuff like back 1. You just respect the move, but at -5 he goes back to neutral. They like to threaten you here with a wall splatting power crush. Downward 3 series is crazy. He does a kick like this, -7, mid. You can do downward 3-2 at -2. This is a high. You can do this, which is a hit confirmable mid string that wall splats from 50 miles away. Again, this is hit confirmable. And again, just mixing with this alone, being able to hit confirm that. Best hop kick in the game. Superman punch needs no introduction with its frames. Sidestep 4, he'll mix you with this low, which is only -12 on block, +6 on hit. Guaranteed follow-up here on counter it. When he goes into heat, he has one of the best heats in the game. He gets access to his DP. Double penetration, Bolognese style. So this is down back 1+2. It's one of the best buttons in the game, in heat. So Claudio does down back 1+2. It's a 17 frame startup that is super evasive. It goes very far down. You can see very yoga, Italian yoga. And then he launches on normal hit into 1 million damage, right? Can still do this route I showed you. That works, and it's unbelievable damage. This move, believe it or not, is -2 on block. That's an evasive mid launcher. 17 frame startup is -2 on block. And here you're not gonna do anything because he can obviously do this again. Right? This also, if you stay on the ground, is a steel pedal. I can't overstate how broken this attack is. And then you have the enhanced Superman punch, which does like 20 damage on block. Or 17 damage. No, sorry, did I... No, it is 17 on block. And what are the frames? +8. That one too is crazy in heat. Can be beaten by a super well-timed sidestep, but it's incredibly hard to do. 4-2 turns into a counter launcher. 12 frame. But also in heat, he gets that one thing he needs the most, which is a heavy low. And he gets this heat smash, you know, that's -14 on block. Does what, 40 damage? And if that slams into a wall, it's 45 damage. A character having mids like this, threatening you with this in heat every single round is ridiculous. Yeah, it's a very strong character. So Victor we saw a lot in competitive play. Early on, vanilla, and then he got some very justified nerfs, and then he fell off a little bit. But he's still a character that's held in like super high regard among competitive players. Again, because of the super important thing that he's ultra basic and he's ultra easy. Ultra easy, ultra basic is always super nice for competitive players. An easy execution. So preferably you don't want to play a high execution character because you can just, there's so much, such an error margin. There's so much you can fuck up, you know, and you don't want that. So super basic and has basically everything you need. Typically they fart around with this safe high power crush heat engager. Moves of this type are ridiculous in this game, but Victor's is extra dumb. It's very, very good. Has a lot of reach. And being a weapon strike, I believe this is also unparryable. There's a lot of that with him. For example, he stabs with his knife here. You can't low parry this. This is something Noctis did as well, and this also adds a big strength to the character. Very long range down for 2. It's a very strong attack. -14 on block. He has a counter hit launch while standing 2, which has the exact same animation as down for 2. Exact same animation. One is -14 and one is safe on block at -8. This can really confuse you. The second one is a safe counter hit mid launcher, which is really nice. He has down 2 for a super nice mid heat engager that is neutral on block. It's got a lot of reach. This is a very good mid, very good mid. Victor has very long limbs. This gives him a Lars style down back 4 counter hit launcher, which threatens you from super far away. It's a very strong button. I mean, I guess we could get into heat. Expulsion, forward 1+2, while running 2 into line stance, where he has the super dumb mix-ups featuring this move. He has some of I don't know the combo route, but he has arguably the best combos in the game. And it sounds like a stretch, but it's like he launches you, and he does very high damage, and he has legit infinite wall travel. It's like Lars. It's like infinite wall travel. You'll end up at the wall, and then he like bounds you, if he hasn't used it already. And then he does 1, Sorry, God, I am trying to keep all of the characters in my head. There we go. Jab, forward for 2, lie stance. A lot of you don't know about this, but this wall combo is giga broken. I'm convinced this is going to be removed in a future balance patch. But basically what happens is that here you're slammed into the ground, he goes into lie stance, and no matter what, you have to eat this. Either you stay on the ground, you eat it, you get slammed back onto the wall, or you are going to block it, but now you're also in, typically he's in heat when he does this. Sorry. If you block this, you take a tremendous amount of chip from that sword explosion, and he's +8. You'll legit see people just over and over blocking this, like this, when he's in heat, because they don't air press. Because he can just blow you up from lie stance. Best combos, super basic and easy. Some of the best buttons in the game, like this. Nice poking, can't be low parried. Down back 4. Just down for 2, just playing super basic. Oh, right, and you know, the basics, like while running 2 into lie, mix up, 1+2, safe counter it mid launcher, right? It's all very basic, but it's just super effective. Okay, and the next character, also a character that you could put higher. I used to think she was up here, but the more I think about Xiaoyu, the more I think she is here. She has one of the best heats in the game, but the reason I only put her in S right now is because I feel like her utility outside of heat is not one of the best in the game, and is resembles a balanced character. Again, she's very strong. I put her in S tier for a reason, but she doesn't have a perfect neutral. She's defined by her incredible evasive utility, which has always been one of her trademarks. Like it's always been here, right? Extremely evasive character with some of the most obnoxious evasive launchers you'll ever see, and a very obnoxious stance in AOP. She has a competent neutral with a lot of interesting buttons. She has a strong throw game. She has like 1+2 break, 2 break, 1+2 break, waning move, like launching throw. Shouldn't have this. Like very strong homing move that is +1. She has cool heat engagers and like back 4-1. Get off me move with 8-frame startup. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but in like basic poking department, it's just not all of that in my opinion. It's very unique to her, but she's not like the S+ tier characters in the neutral where she has like super streamlined buttons that just cover everything. What sets her off apart from the other characters and makes her super strong is, in my opinion, like anytime she goes into heat, she's super busted. She gets tremendously high damage through forward 1-2, forward 2-1-2 on the wall. Like she gets this enhanced combo here. Oh, sorry, I just don't play Xiaoyu very often. Let's see, boom. All of this is like guaranteed. And then when she's in heat, from back turn, she has one of the best heat smashes in the game. It does 50 damage. It's +20. If you block this, she's +18. And now here comes the crux of it, the most important. She threatens you with Hypnotist Stance. Hypnotist Stance is super busted in this game. It's not that bad outside of heat, because she has to walk a step. You'll see if she is allowed to walk a step. You'll see now. Do you see that white trail? She just farted. There, you heard it even. As soon as she farts, she has just buffed her mix-up from this stance, and now it's the craziest 50-50 in the game. Fart, and now this unseeable low will launch you like a snake edge. Like you won't believe this. This is an unseeable, it's basically a low poke, right? It comes out at 20 frames, this sweep. but it launches you like a snake edge, and it's minus 13 on block. Minus 13. And it's homing. And as she ducks down, it's quite evasive as well, right? But when she is in heat, she doesn't bring out her fart jar. She just goes into Hypnotist now, and it's immediately buffed. It's immediately buffed. So what she does in heat is basically either do something like this to take frames, or she'll do 4-1 and go into Hypnotist. And now she mixes you with this obscenely broken thing. Or as I mentioned before, she does a heat smash from back turn that does 50 damage on hit, leaves you standing at plus 20, and she has the fart Hypnotist. And again, 1 down 2 poke, jab into Hypnotist. Or she'll do 4-4-4 on block, plus 9 into fart Hypnotist. Or they will launch you like this, blah 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 blah, bound like this, fart Hypnotist. And now you gotta wake up to the fart. The most broken 50-50 in the game. It's not Kazuya. It's Xiaoyu with fart Hypnotist. She can heat dash from this mid in general, from fart, or from Hypnotist in general. It's a heat engager. You can see it here on block. -5. No, sorry, -4. I'm an idiot. -4 with gigantic pushback. Do you see this? But I put her here because I feel like outside of heat, she still is respectable in that crazy evasion, crazy bullshit, but it's not like she has this streamlined, super hardcore fundamental tools, in my opinion. So Shaheen, the reason he's loved in tournaments is because he's yet again very basic, he's easy execution, he's super all-round, and he's very, very strong. Like, this is a good tournament character, like, and he has these universally loved attacks, like strong down for 2, which is a -7, you know, mid, natural launcher, got very decent reach. Very decent reach, it's a strong keep out button, he has a long range hop kick. It's not quite like Claudio's, you know, but this is a good hop kick. So you have very easy whiff punish utility with this character. And then you have a strong down for the 1. You have the beloved long range high safe power crush heat engager. Ooh, they love these moves, don't they? Top players. It's very nice to have. You can threaten with a 50-50 from very far away with slide. It also tracks a ton to both sides. You have a -7 safe mid launcher, which acts like an orbital that you can do from crouch. Very nice. You have a while standing 1 poke here, which is +4 on normal hit, -2 here, as you can see, and on counter hit, it's +14, giving this guaranteed follow-up for 43 damage heat engager. This is one of the best pokes in the game, arguably, and here he gets a guaranteed back 4, right? Steel pedal. You got a very nice up forward 1 here. Jumping Superman punch, which is +1 on block. This can be cancelled for a mix-up. Into his new charge up, right? This is the charge up. So this is done like a Street Fighter flash kick. But you can see +4 high. This is beefed up when Shaheen is in heat. It now does a huge amount of damage. And now guard breaks at +13. And he gets a guaranteed, is it back 2-2? I'm not charging long enough. This is guaranteed. This, when the screen goes gray like this, you will also remove all of your recoverable health. So that's a super nice thing to have. Like this mix-up utility, can insta-slide. And then good generics, like generic buttons. and poking. This sequence is very nice. 1-2-2, only -11. If you don't respect your 1-2, you just end here. You get a counter launcher. Super nice. Forward 4 is a nice homing. It's only -2 on block. Knocks down for a steel pedal. It's a very nice homing bottom. He has a wild running 2, which is +5 on block and deals a huge amount of chip. He's got strong combos. It's just a super all-round character that has like every single button you'd need, and he just does everything well. And he has a certainly nice enough 50-50 to break someone's... if a strong defensive player, you know, has a strong guard, he'll break that. It's just a very, very all-round, very, very solid character. I can play super safe if he wants to and get big counter hit utility. And I also think his heat smash is really good. He has 2 of them. He has a low one as well, but it's good. Just a lot of reach, a lot of damage. The next one I'm going to talk about is one of my mains, Kazuya Mishima. I main Kazuya and Heihachi and Bryan. And Kazuya, in my opinion, is S tier. Outside of generic poking not so good. Although we can mention Damage 4 being one of the best lows in the game, in my opinion. This low is almost broken, it's so strong. But if we talk about poking in general, like jab, back 2, you know, down for the 1, the mid check and all that, it's not good. Outside of that type of gameplay, this is one of the best characters in the game. If he is allowed time to like wind up an attack, but takes a little bit longer to execute, let's say like 20 frames, you're looking at like the best moves in the game, in my opinion. They are all so over the top. So neutral, electric, one of the best moves in the game. Devil Fist has obscene tracking. It's decent enough on block, like -9 with some pushback. But tracks like a motherfucker. Infinite reach, heat engager. Gives him +17 here, and here you have arguably the best 50-50 in the game. Foot free, hell sweep, steel pedal, patricide fist for a mid wave dash option. Chips, +5 on block. If it hits, it will wall splat, it will knock down, it does a lot of damage on its own. Kazuya also has very, very high damage. Sorry, I'm looking at my OBS window. I have a little bit of delay, so it's a little bit difficult doing the good combos, but ever since patch, I would not have put Kazuya from patch 104 this high, but 105 like S tier. Like, suddenly, all of these launches have access to Patricide Fist, the new combo route. And it just does very high damage. He doesn't do as much damage as his dad, Heihachi, when he wins an interaction with electric or a mid. But he's a higher damage character than Heihachi, because no matter what interaction Kazuya wins, it's just so much damage. He's in heat, he lands a hell sweep on you, and it's like, what, 45 damage into a hard knockdown where you cannot tech roll. And now, just heat in general, as soon as he goes into Devil, one of the best heats in the game. Devil Fist is absurd, his damage is absurd in heat. Can heat dash to add tracking to the already a lot of tracking Devil Fist. But it's gonna do a lot of damage. Of course, this house sweep is absurd, and it's Oki. Devil threatens a Oki laser here, which is super strong. His heat smash is super underrated when he's in heat. It gives this character that has some of the best mids in the game a 40 damage low that has more tracking than a hell sweep, is faster than a hell sweep, and has more range than a hell sweep, and is only -14 on block. Kazuya players don't understand how strong this is. They always say, I have a shit heat smash. No, your character that has Patricide Fist, Forward 3, Demon God Fist, suddenly gets access to a super hell sweep. Like, this heat smash is absurd. and he has access to it every round. And a character that typically doesn't have panic buttons gets one of the best panic buttons in the game. Shikue is kind of broken. If he lands a heat engager, he can do a triple Shikue due to the buff to the heat consumption of this attack. Some of the best Oki in the game with Steel Paddle, Wavo into Take the Mix Up. His base control outside of Devil Fist is super good with while standing free. And back 4 homing being a heat engager. Kazuya is just unbelievably strong. And if he takes you to the wall, again here, like, while standing free is an underrated button. Like, this is a homing mid, wall splat, unreactable, -5 on block with some pushback. It's pretty stupid. Just linking patricide fists at the wall. Shikue at the wall. And forward 4 is a stupid strong button. Down 1+2 is a stupid move. The sheer amount of Oki he gets here, for example, at the wall. Gets that. Maskutek is super strong. He can OTG with down back 1-2. Down back 1-2 becomes a confirm when he's in heat. If this hits, it wall splats, right? And I keep my double. If I see you block it, on reaction I dash out of it. Kazuya is S tier, in my opinion. His only problem is poking. But in any other type of gameplay, he's one of the best characters, in my opinion. And he has the best 50-50 in the game, and Devil Kazuya is one of the best examples of heat in the game. I mean, Devil Kazuya is pretty much OP. Yeah. So in terms of Mishima, it goes, in my opinion, Jin, Kazuya, Reina, pretty much on the same slot. And then you're gonna have Heihachi, and then you're gonna have Devil Jin. Reina is a hyper complicated character. One of the hardest characters you can play. To be honest, surprisingly complex for a newcomer. There's never been a more sophisticated newcomer in a Tekken game than Reina, with all of her stances, all of her utility, pseudo Mishima. She is the oppressive side of her dad. She's the oppressive Tekken 7 Heihachi, but without all of the hugely damaging counter hit launchers or normal hit launchers. Heihachi still retains those. It's that just she took his poking side. And his pitbull rushdown. That went to Reina. She inherited that from him. So she is that side of that character, and Tekken 8 Heihachi is the big counter hit, a million damage side of Tekken 7 Heihachi. He used to be both of those, but now sort of there's been a split, right? But so what makes Reina so strong? So first off, like, super oppressive rushdown. Unbelievably oppressive rushdown. Super oppressive. Best movement out of the Mishimas. Has an electric into infinite wall carry. Like, straight up infinite wall carry and very high damage. Her Raiden, even though if this had been pre-105, I would have put her in S+ tier because of Raiden. It's like a 13 frame startup, if perfectly executed, full screen mid. This used to be pretty much homing. You can step it now, but unless you time your step well, I mean, this will just hit you. If she out-times you, she hits you. So her initiation is stupid strong. And, you know, on block, +2 if she goes into shenanigan. If she doesn't, she's still -9. But when she goes into Sentai, and, you know, it's going to be mix-up city pretty much, right? It's just basically to take a goddamn guess as to what she's going to do. Or this one is a favorite due to its plus frames. Her neutral, best movement. Best electric. Due to the movement, she has the best electric. It's her or Heihachi. Heihachi has the best damage. But then, yeah, you have Raiden. You have stuff like 3-4. And then poking is very strong. Jab is very strong. 1-1. -1. Confirm into this, into frames, into mix-up. Down for 1 is very strong. Down for 1-2 is very strong. Has forward 4, which is crouch utility into guaranteed down for 1-2. she just has amazing buttons. Like amazing highs, amazing mids. Super oppressive. Super oppressive heat. Can't stress enough how oppressive her heat is with chip and whatever it does. Has a lot of like gimmicky utility as well, but is surprisingly strong and viable even at the highest level. Her real weakness comes in like low poking, but she doesn't really need this. Like people don't want to duck her, so she still has this. But of course she has a good low in Hell Sweep. This one into Heaven's Wrath, which is +6 into mix up. She can link these if she wants, which is something Reina players don't like to talk about. They want you to believe she has no lows, when she quite evidently has lows. That will make you fucking duck the character, because you don't want to eat these loops, right? You just don't. And then she has very interesting like parry shenanigans. In heat, she gets access to a low heat smash, which again is very strong for her. Yeah, but very complicated though. Like, takes a lot to pilot her. Just a very solid and strong character, but I put like Kazuya slightly, just a pixel ahead of her, because I feel like he doesn't have a poking utility she has, but his sheer damage output. And anytime he wins interactions, and then Patricide Fist over and over, Shikue, it gets disgusting real quick. But pretty much at the same tier, I would say. So I put them both in S. And the next character I've put in S is going to be Bryan. So Bryan Fury. Bryan is a little bit similar to Paul and Kazuya in that he likes to do single hits. And like Paul and Lee, he loves people pressing into him. He's a very defensive character. If you ever seen him in tournaments, you'll see how willing Bryan players are to just block and let the opponent take the initiative. This is because Bryan wants you to get comfortable pressing into him. He really does, because he wants to do this. He wants to intercept your attack and counter hit launch you. Because half Bryan's move list is counter hit launchers. And also a reason Bryan players don't like pressing a lot is because anytime you press, you sort of give away your timing to the opponent. And you don't want to do that. And that's why you'll see Knee, he'll just fall back, let opponent feel comfortable. Oh, you feel comfortable mashing, take the opportunity here to press. I'm just gonna block. And then they get intel on how you like to play instead. And then they try to get a step into jet upper, or just straight up, you know, counter hit you out of whatever you're doing. So it's a very defensive character. Like Kazuya, he's just sluggish in the poking department, doesn't have a traditional down for 2, doesn't have a Magic 4 style attack, doesn't have a hop kick, clunky in the poking department. Unlike Kazuya, doesn't have a strong 50-50, right? And Paul can run in and demo man. Bryan has a hatchet, which a lot of people think is a strong 50-50, but it's not. And it's due to the commitment here. Bryan will commit 22 frames to doing his hatchet, and during this time he has no evasion. So if anyone does any poke, anything, any throw, any nothing, Bryan is blown up. If Bryan lands one of these, he is at +5. So here you go, like, oh, link hatchet into hatchet, like this. But if opponent hop kicks, if opponent does a down for 2, if opponent does anything, he still dies. Everything Bryan does, it revolves around mind games. What is he going to do with his +5? After a back 3, what does he do? Does he follow up? Does he go into sliver step to cancel? When he does 1-2, is he gonna follow that up? After he does down for 2, is he going to follow that up? He just did down 2. Is that gonna get a follow up? He just did Wilson 3. Will he follow up? It's the constant threat of a follow up attack that is Bryan. Oh god, now I feel like I'm more explaining to you how Bryan plays. But he can feel very clunky to play due to this, and due to having clunky poking. He doesn't really have a strong 50-50 in my opinion. Hatchet is the last resort. So what is his strength? His strength is safe or plus on block, counter hit launcher into 1 million damage. That is the character. I know when you are going to press, and I get a... sorry, I'm playing with delay, and I get a counter hit on you. And I'm going to take you to the wall. And you're about to die, right? And I'm doing shit tier combos. Here. And this is just something basic. And then you're going to wake up. If he lands something more devastating, like back two, you can just kiss your ass goodbye, right? You can just kiss your ass goodbye, like you are dead. His punishment is not very strong either. Although he has some interesting, like minus 13 while standing. This for big sweeps, Fisherman Slam into a lot of damage. But it's basically countered launchers that have good frames, very good frames. A standout is also forward free, which is neutral on block. Can be even better if blocked from far away, can be up to +2. Mid counter hit launcher. Like this is pretty crazy stuff. So here he's free to like pressure you. Counter hit launcher into 1 million damage. He has a taunt, which is a 28 frame unblockable into guaranteed damage. Any Bryan player worth their salt will know to do at the wall this. And again, I'm trying to do this with delay. But it guarantees back 4 there for like 80 damage at the wall. This is very strong. It's a very strong neutral in like 3 moves alone. This for keep out. This for safe high, counter hit, respect me. That ships and is +5 on block. And then core circle forward 1+2, Requiem is an infinite range mid check that has almost broken tracking. It tracks so much. This is complete dominance of space. There's nothing you can do almost here except for block. Unless you do a perfect sidestep. And also, like, his homing in general is very strong. This is guaranteed on everyone except for Xiaoyu. Unless you do a perfectly timed tech roll to the right, which is very hard to do. Even top players, you have to time it perfectly here on startup. Even top players will drop it very often. It's so hard to do. But the fact that he can do this is pretty crazy. And then we can get into like Incinerator, which is almost busted, this thing. It tracks so much, it's so safe, super strong. I've talked too much about Bryan. The reason Bryan is here is because of his sheer damage output, his counter hit launchers being some of the best in the game, his taunt being super good and almost, I mean, pretty much broken on paper. It's just that he's so unbelievably hard and demanding to pilot that most people are not going to bother. And I think the character still suffers too much from poor poking, sometimes quite poor punishment, to be honest, especially like -10, -12. And then his hatchet just isn't enough, in my opinion, in 50-50. They don't want you to play 50-50 with the character, but he certainly has enough drawbacks to look at clear weaknesses. But I put him in S tier here because I think if you are super, super good at the game, the character is very, very good. So, oh, this is funny. I put Kuma here. I think he is A+. I mean, I don't know if I would put him above Lili. Just again, I want to stress that the order here. Don't think too much about that. First off about Kuma is Kuma has broken damage. Kuma does back for 2, which is a chip damage high that knocks down. That is super fast. 15 frames. You just... I think it tracks a lot as well. I mean, you see the chip. Kuma is the god of chip, by the way. He is the god of chip. I mean, I like his chip. Back for 2 here. Say I counter it launcher with this. I mean, you have just lost the round. You literally lost. This is Kazuya perfect electric damage with like no execution. Like infinite reach. High attack, that's super safe, and super everything, and super chip. And I do this, into this, into this. This is all guaranteed, and this is without rage. And this is not optimal, and this is 70%. And when you're going to wake up to a God Fist you can't do anything about. Did you see the chip there as well afterwards? This move, there's no counterplay. You just block it. There's no counterplay. Just block. And he chips you to death. And then he has the best heat smash. This is a... Kuma is very evasive for some reason, even though he's the size of a fucking van. This is very evasive. 13 frame startup heat smash. But also for some reason... hits grounded. He can O-key with this. He O-keys with this shit. Super evasive. Super long reach. 13 frame startup. Like, it's a joke. So this sequence, there's nothing you can do. You just block that shit. So broken damage. Broken heat. Surprisingly decent buttons in this stuff, and back one being the most annoying power crush in the history of Tekken. Most annoying shit I've ever seen. Surprisingly evasive into, you guessed it, you just died. Oh, I could have done it there. 10 frame launcher. Oh, I love this as well. The fact that this is guaranteed. That's guaranteed. And you saw the damage, right? It's a joke. It's an unbreakable throw, by the way. It's just the fact that he will launch you and then you die. You die to one launch. And then you're at the wall and he will do this. And there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do. So Hwoarang is defined by what we call in the business hardcore mashu. Have you heard of this before? But Hwoarang has what is known as mashu. Maybe you haven't. The reason I put him in A+ is he's quite all round. Like he has these spam mix-ups where everything is plus on block. But he also has surprisingly strong space control and heat engagers. He has surprisingly strong punishment. You whiff anything, up in the air you go. He has down for 2, which is very nice. For some reason, Taekwondo guy has a perfect throw game. Which is also a strength in your mix-up utility, right? Like, very strong. All of that is nice, but the reason he's A+ is due to as soon as he goes into heat was sort of made for him. He just does his amazing attacks that are, you know, they have these amazing frames, but now they all do a lot of chip damage. And you have to block a lot against Hwoarang, respect him and find the opening. But now as soon as he goes into heat, he like stresses you with a lot of chip damage. And not only the frames, it's chip damage on top of frames. And suddenly the character also gets like pretty disgusting, like 50-50 utility. This mix-up. Like here, now it's a launcher, right? When he's in heat. And then also something that people talk about way too little is that his combo damage when he's in heat and counter hit utility is super broken. So I'm now in heat, and say I counter hit with this low. This is now unnatural. Oh, sorry. This is natural, like from a Damek 4. I get guaranteed flappy kicks follow-up. I'm so sorry, like I'm not a Hwoarang player, so it's a bit tricky. I'm also doing this with delay. But so here, you saw that did 50%. You gotta trust me here that he can like keep going after that. Yeah, after that you can do like, was it triple sets of these? into wall combo, and people don't know this, but it can get like 70% from this low, from 10 frames, like this standing 2, from 10 frames. Just wanna see if I can show you what this can look like. I mean, do you see this damage? I haven't even done my wall combo yet. And you see the wall travel, right? It's just the fact that the character in heat can threaten you with a 10 frame jab into 70%. It's like, his heat should be talked about more in my opinion. And it's probably one of the best in the game. And then on top of that, he is a very, very solid character. So that's why I think he's A+. He's still demanding to play though. Next character I have an A+ is Lili. What defines Lili is the best movement in the game. She is literally #1. She can step things no other character can step, which is something every tournament player has to remember when they play against Lili. What of my sequences and flowcharts and strings can she now step that no other character can? For example, with Heihachi, I like to do at the wall like Rashomon, Blue Spark, into Muso Tekken, Blue Spark. Reina can't step that if she blocks the Rashomon. Lili can. Just easily slips out and then she whiff punishes and kills. So that's the first thing about Lili. Incredible movement into incredible punish. Her punishment is like infinite range. Very long range 12 frame. Very long range hop kick. Can punish you with Matterhorn. She makes you whiff like no other character, and then she deals 1 million damage. And then outside of that, she has some really nice buttons. This is a +3 counter hit launcher. This is a nice low with decent range. This is a nice low. Forward 4 is basically a Jin forward 4. I mean, safe on block, super long range counter hit launcher. In this game, she got a G clef. So she confirms 1-1 on hit, adds a fray, super nice. She also got a very nice steel pedal in this game, core circle forward 3, to help her with Oki. Her Oki in general is very nice. When she is in heat, she does rabbit step, like this, and you take a 50-50 mix-up, right? So it's basically going to be rabbit low or rabbit mid. That's going to launch you, right, if she heat dashes. And she can easily loop this at the wall, obviously. No, sorry, I'm not going to say that. And then in heat, this will chip a ton. And +7. You've probably already seen this situation when you play online. Lili is linking these. Oh, sorry, too much execution. Linking these, right? Always threatens you from very far away. Elegant. This is an absurd neutral button. Even though it's high, it's just like, holy shit, the range on this heat engager. And if it is blocked, it's -2. It's and it's homing. The space control alone afforded Lili with this, being able to mix with this launching mid. It's quite something. She's a very solid character. The reason I don't want to put her higher on a tier list is that I think she is too fair, too little bullshit in her offense. The moves are not as strong as up here, and her heat is not as overtuned. But she saw a lot of big nerfs. Like if this was prior to 105, I probably would have put her higher. Back turn mix-up. Yeah, you can mention this low, down 1-2 being a natural into back turn mix-ups. It's all nice and dandy, but there's just nothing like super duper overtuned here. But A+ is still a very solid positioning. So next up is going to be Mama June. So Mama June is a character I've heard Arslan Ash say he feels she doesn't really work in tournaments. And then sometimes he still plays her in tournaments, so it's interesting. He obviously still feels she is quite viable. June's biggest problem comes with like knockdown low, to try and knock someone down, to have them have to wake up, you know, in your face, and you can sort of try and vortex pressure a bit. She doesn't really have that, but outside of that, it's a very, very strong character. She has some really crazy frames, like, you know, that's a guaranteed throw attempt there, right? Because my forward 4, my homing here on hit, guarantees 13 frames of I do whatever the fuck I want, right? And on block, this is still a +3 on block homing, like very fast button. And then you're like, but what about the mids? Sidestep 4 is +6 here. This, of course, can be accessed from all kinds of steps. Forward 1 +2 is a +6 on block mid. So there are frames on this character, right? There are certainly frames to June. And there are some interesting projectile utility, most notably her heat smash, which is what 13 frame startup. Was greatly nerfed, thank God, but it's still a 13 frame projectile, you know, like long range. That is very strong. She also has this low, which is kind of ridiculous. -11 on block low, right? That's a counter hit launcher. Like, as soon as a character has something like that, it's like, this character is solid. Like, and you have launching throw. You have in general strong throws, I would say. They give decent enough Oki. You have a best whiff punish in the game, arguably, in 4-2. It's like an infinite reach. Very low hitting mid launcher. There's no evading this attack. It's just very good. Her combos are very good. They do a lot of damage. This being down back 1-1 being a confirmable string, that's wall splats. You'll do down back 1-1, you're -11. If you notice it confirmed, you add the rest of it, right? Then I don't remember the combo. 4-4-3? No. 4-3-4? Play this character. Yeah, something like that, and it does 1,000,000 damage. I mean, God. Bat wall splats. Bat wall splats. I mean, that's pretty stupid, you know. Technically, this should work as well, right? And again, she has a very strong wall combo here. And then a 10 frame punish that does 36. A crouching 10 frame that does 36 and will wall splat from very far away. Say I block a down 4 by Jin. I can bound him there. I don't know what you would do. Would you do 4-2 to bound there? Apologies, I'm not a June player, but she has some ridiculous stuff. So while this is not a character, I'm gonna say like is oh, and she has launching Sabaki, just like this one, just like Asuka. Neutral on block. This is a launching Sabaki that's neutral on block. Before I quit June, I also want to say that during her heat, it's not only about the heat smash. Like, she gets a low heat smash as well from stance, but it's like, is it -12 on block? It's crazy. But she also gets, she can just throw out 4-2 suddenly. 4-2 1 + 2, or is it 4-2-2? No, 4-2 1 + 2. She does this, and if it's blocked, she's safe at -9. But if you notice that it connects, you have time to hold forward and confirm this into a full Giga launch. Confirm. So suddenly this 4-2 becomes a safe launcher. So yeah, there's a lot of strong stuff going on with June. I don't think she's she used to be like pretty busted. She used to be around here, but with all of the nerfs adding up, you know, I think she finds herself here. Oh, and the next character is going to be Leo Kleisen. This is a character I'm not going to talk a lot about because I'm just so I'm sorry, I really try to lab all of these characters. I really try to pay attention to all of these characters. But I'm so bored with Leo. So when I place him in the middle of everything, I'm mostly listening to top players who say, Leo is probably in the middle of everything. Leo is very solid and strong, but fair when people know of a matchup and relies on his pilot, you know, to get the work done mostly. But standout attacks will always be, you know, down for 2-3, which is a -12 on block. Counter at launcher, that is very strong. Very all around with super strong Demon Paw style attack. Down for 3, very good. Has a very nice down for 2 that will launch crouchers. Has a ton of reach. It is -13 on block, but make no mistake, it is very, very strong. Back 1 for shenanigans. Core circle 1 for nice low. Those nice things. I can't even listen to his voice. Stuff like that is pretty nice. Stuff like that. Core circle 4-2-1 is very strong string. I believe the second hit is still a counter at launcher, right? You can pick up there. Up for 2 got buffed. No, sorry. Up for 2-1 got buffed. So this is a very evasive, like mid-mid. That is safe at -8. You can now easy mode just if you see this connect, do this. And wow, you get a full combo. Stuff like Bok 2 being a super evasive, huge launcher that's safe. The frames on this move, like Leo is very strong, very all around, but suffers like some range problems, you know, on attacks. Feels a bit stubby at times, but it's very solid and strong. It's just that if you want a character of that style, in my opinion, I mean, there's a lot of uniqueness to Leo, but why wouldn't you play like Law or Shaheen if you want to win tournaments? Similar-ish, but like superior, I would say. But Leo is very strong and solid. Again, it's quite a balanced game. Now we're gonna go down to A, and now we're gonna look at Steve. So now we are on another one of my favorites. It's Steve Fox, the boxer. This character was stronger in Tekken 7. I think his damage was like, he still hits pretty hard, but its damage was slightly higher. Down for 2 used to be a counter at launcher. It's not anymore. Just gives a guaranteed follow-up. He lost his ability to like vortex opponents by damage 3-2, not knocking down anymore. It gives a Lionheart mix-up, his new stance. His back 2, he can no longer launch you from standing mid. He has to commit to like peekaboo option. But he used to be able to just run in and back 2 at 17 frames. This was also evasive, like beating highs. Or if you were -17 on an attack, he would just straight up launch you here. But he still remains what he should be. Like someone that can fall back and play defensively. Like if you've seen Knee play this character, he just falls back. Back one is still an amazing tool. It's a 13 frame counter launcher. Still does a lot of damage. I don't know exactly what the combo is supposed to be here. Blah blah blah. Put them on the wall. Finish with this. Back one is still very strong. And it stands out a lot in Tekken 8. They removed pretty much every similar attack, so it stands out a lot. 1-2-1 remains core to Steve's game plan. Still a very strong counter at string, but gives nice enough frames. Can't step it, it has so much tracking. Steve's general moveset still has a lot of tracking. So he still can rush you, he can still play defensively. He can, and especially with the new step out Fox, like round start, he's gone, right? Probably seen that. He can disappear if he wants. He has like Campo utility now, if he wants, which is super nice. Very safely can poke at you and rush you down and hope you press into him and his counter hits. And he stays safe. You can't really punish him on this stuff. He has such good frames. He even allowed a safe low poke. You can still low parry obviously, but down to 1. is a pretty absurd low poke, right? And then he still has his wall shenanigans. Yeah, no damage by the way, right? There's a lot of very interesting things going on, and I like his up back too, like the space control this gives, homing, plus 14 on hit, and now we have to take the Lionheart mix up. Lionheart, after a million buffs, eventually became a strong stance. Used to be not so good, but now he gets really strong mix-ups here. Very strong mix-ups. Including the guard break, which interestingly is a full launch, right? As well, on normal hit. That allows a bound. But you know, he's very good at what he does. He's very unique. He's very solid. It's just that he suffers from not having the added utility that he had in Tekken 7. Shiro combo is gone. He no longer vortexes. His punishment is significantly worse from not having that back to launching. And that also hurt his lazy 50-50 utility, where he had bad comeback potential in Tekken 7. But like in Tekken 8, like his comeback utility is very bad. If someone has a big life lead, like say that's my health, you've just owned me most of a round and I'm trying to get a comeback under time pressure. If you just hold back, like there's just not a whole lot I can do. I can try to get a guard break, but in Tekken 7 he could also threaten a 50-50. He could run in and do this and it would knock down into a guaranteed albatross low, and then he would reset the situation, right, when you stand up. And he could, if he thought you were going to try and duck that stomp, he would do back 2, right? He didn't have to do a slow ass orbital at 22, right? And then his heat is not very good. I think ducking is too slow, personally. I think the heat smash is not all that. His heat seems to be mostly to recreate what you did in Tekken 7. Unenhanced Sonic Fang, be it on hit or on block. And that's it. And then maybe try and get a Hwoarang 2 going. Still a very solid character, still fits tournaments well, but is not as strong as Tekken 7 for all of these reasons. Something that is nice though and to consider is that sidesteps are very strong in this game. And if Steve gets a sidestep on you in this game, he literally kills you. He can do this old school thing. But there are also new traps here from back turn where he links while standing 2-2 here. And you can actually guaranteed here get absolutely astronomical damage. On a whole, I would say Steve is very solid, very decent, fits tournaments quite alright. Like, he has nerfed comeback utility, but he's very safe. And people tend to be a bit stressed in tournaments and they press more, and he has strong counter hit utility, but not as strong as he once was. With Heihachi, there's a stronger chance that I'm overestimating him, putting him here. But I think it's fair to put him here due to his Giga tier damage. But yeah, Heihachi is not that good. Heihachi is arguably the hardest character in the game to play. I can't think of a higher execution character. He relies the most on electric, he relies the most on wave dash because he has no tracking whatsoever, so he has to wave to realign. So relies on electric because all of his other buttons are so risky. Even these types of mix-ups are super risky. There are so many option selects. So he's very committal, very unsafe, but when he does land something, it really fucking hurts. I have delay, can we do it? Yeah, and there I'll do this. It's very, very high damage, right? But very committal and can't poke. That's a huge problem in this game. Can't poke. Small Tekken doesn't really work because his down forward 1 is -5. This is super bad. And his down forward 1 also doesn't have very good tracking, so he has to commit to something like down forward 1-1 to add tracking. He can do down forward 1-2, that doesn't add tracking, but it's still a nice button, right? Get some damage, but this is interruptible in between. They can sidestep, we can sidestep in between the hits. Or if they step down forward 1, the second hit doesn't track. It's just very, very unsafe, very committal, The reason you won't see him in tournaments is because downfield 1 is -5 and 1-1 is -5. These two are crucial, but we're both -5. Had one of them been -5, it would have been like, meh. But when both of them are -5, it's really problematic. His homing buttons are bad. They are just not good. Then you can go into Ultimate Heihachi. Ultimate Heihachi is super strong, but that's for one round. There are other characters who go heat, and they are basically as strong, I would say. Your lows are really bad. Just super duper bad. I'm trying to think of strengths here. It's basically electric into super high damage, back 4 counter hit, into super high damage. I mean, I guess we can demonstrate this here. Like, I counter back 4 is -8, right? And it's death on whiff. But it's at -8, it's fine, right? On block. It knocks down a normal hit, which is nice. But if I do get the counter hit on this 18 frame startup, it is really going to hurt, right? Oh my god. Sorry, it's like, it's arguably the hardest combos in the game, and I'm trying to do it with delay because I'm looking not at my gaming monitor but my OBS monitor. Okay. Nice. A lot of damage. And then you wake up and I can do my heat smash. That is very steppable, very short reach. But if this is blocked, it's a pretty disgusting mind game, right? Guard break or mid. If I land the guard break, it's over. Right. Yeah, it's very high damage. It's just that he is way too risky to ever be considered high tier, in my opinion. But that's Heihachi. Leroy Jenkins in this game specializes in obscene chip damage. Mostly when he is in heat. Let's try that. That's a heat engager. That wall splat. Wow. So if you look at his health now. Yeah. And that's +7 on block, by the way. And then you have this +9 on block homing. It's pretty nice, right? And if that hits, he's dead. He has a neutral where he's mostly threatening you with these highs, trying to get you to duck, into his orbital. That is safe on block. To try and make you duck, he'll also use down 3-2 into Hermit, where he has some interesting mix-up utility. Hermit is a pretty strong stance in general. That can also be cancelled. He also has with damage free safe low. Well, safe quotation marks. Like he'll do this. And you'll notice that this is -8 on block, right? But if you try and do anything here, he can press the 1 button to do a sabaki. This is a built-in punch parry. If he does this, interestingly, he's even like safe on block. No shit, this is -10. Oh, they nerfed it. He is -10. But still, that's a very nice thing to have. It's that this low, you will block this and you will try to punish him. Those of you who don't know better, and you'll eat this sabaki. And he gets pretty huge frames into another mix-up situation. He still has a 12 frame counter hit mid launcher in back 1+2. This is super nice to have. It is -10 now, however. I want to demonstrate his perfect parry because I think it's one of the best things he has. He can like land a parry. Again, he gains health, you see that, right? And here he can do like 1,000,000 damage. Parry itself does what? 45 damage. Guaranteed ground pound into what? How much damage? And then you get what? I know you get a follow-up here for free as well afterwards. I mean, Pin Cane is a super nice once per match. Low launcher, that is what? Is it -14? -14. Low launcher. That is pretty fucking nice to be able to throw out. Like, only once per match, but still. And then he still has his nice counter utility. from 10 frame, 13 frame, 12 frame. He's very solid and he's very easy. Mostly chip damage strength, I think, on this character. Zafina, very strong movement, very strong evasion, down 3 is a pretty defining button. It's a minus 13 on block counter launcher. Down for 1 is a very nice down for 1 in my opinion. You have down for 1 4, down for 1 2 1. There's a specific sequence you'll see a lot of Zafinas do, and that's safe. They'll do like while running free on block, scarecrow down for 1, and you take a lot of chip damage, and she is safe. She has a lot of like canned interactions she can do where she'll take a lot of health from you. Basically, master of evasion, right? Evasion. But still some very strong fundamental buttons like down 3, forward for 2. Is this still a counter launcher? And knockdown, forward for 4 is a very nice button. Again, down for 1 2 1 is a very nice button. Has a snake edge that everyone will eat. I shit you not, at pro level of play, you'll eat. I've seen Atif Bot and Arson Ash play against Yon Ding and fucking Ulsan run in and do this in the neutral. And it works. Because even the best players in the world who have like 20,000 hours in this game, they don't recognize this animation. No one fucking does. Because certain characters are never played. And they have these super tricky animations where you're like, what is she doing? Is she gonna grab me by the balls? Oh no, it's a snake edge. That's also a big strength to Zafina, like unfamiliar everyone else is with the character. Other defining attacks are going to be forward forward 3, which is plus 4 into Scarecrow, and then she'll do 1 plus 2. And you'll see tremendous frames, right? Here, plus 6. Disconnects, guaranteed back 3. Another thing I think is pretty crazy with her is actually her parry. My dummy. This parry has a very long active window, and believe it or not, that is guaranteed. That is guaranteed. But her damage is not very high. I feel like she relies too much on people not knowing the matchup. But again, very evasive and has some nice buttons. And has nice movement for sure. So still, you know, I can put her here. So Azucena was everywhere in vanilla Tekken 8. She was hilariously OP. While running free 2 was the best move in the game. A million nerfs later, it's not a standout attack anymore. You can easily beat it by sidestepping. And at plus 2 on block, it's not that bad on block anymore either. They also nerfed the chip damage. It's almost a non-factor now, this attack. And her down for 1-4 series was also made very steppable. As this stance basically is what they want you to do, Libertador. As soon as you go into the stance, be it through a string or manually. Couldn't we down for 1-4 Libertador? Here we go. Down for 1-4-1, Libertador, hold forward. So here she will auto evade and parry throws, highs, lows, everything except for mids. So you have to mid check her there, which makes you predictable, right? And how you're gonna counter this stance. And in this stance, she has some nice stuff, like a safe mid heat engager. It's very nice. She can also fucking health sweep you, obviously. She can check you. Has a lot of nice options. While setting free is a really nice button into Libertador. So here, plus 4 on block, Libertador mix up. It's very good. It's a very good button. I also think her while setting 1 deserves mention. I don't think they ever nerfed this. It's like a 13 frame startup. Minus 8 on block. But this is actually a counter launcher. That is very good. Like, that is very good. She has an orbital, which is nice. She has a backswing blow that people love to spam. This one, even though it's launch punishable. It's quite nice. And she also has the Tekken 8 defining attack in... how does she do it? There it is. The classic safe high power crush heat engager. These attacks will always bring value to a character. Always bring value. So that's very nice. She's just not a standout character anymore, but she's solid. She's got good buttons, she's got good mix-up. Libertador is an interesting stance. She always suffered from having a balanced heat smash, in my opinion. In that, it's always been very steppable. Like, it's nice on block, it's nice on hit, doesn't wall splat, but very balanced. Like, doesn't wall splat, is very steppable. So, always had a balanced heat smash, and I've always respected that with this character. Pretty all-round, good. It's just that she just doesn't stand out too much compared to other characters. Like, she is a very balanced character, and she's very happy, and she likes coffee, just like me, so I want to play her. Paul is significantly better in Tekken 7, and it's for multiple reasons, but his biggest problems are he lost his tracking on back 1. This used to be a 12-frame homing check. And Unpack 2 was also a defining attack. It was a homing mid counter hit launcher. Now it no longer is homing, and it doesn't counter hit launch. This is immediately a problem for Paul, in my opinion, because now you gotta commit more to stuff like this to get people to respect you. Another problem is that they nerfed his... Paul mains will know what I'm talking about. Demo Man needed clean hit range in Tekken 7. It did. In Tekken 8, this is his 50-50, obviously. He stands close, and now he's threatening, you know, power mid or power low. But it almost feels broken. Now, not in the good way. Not broken as it's so OP, but broken in that the clean hit property is all over the place in this game. Like, almost feels character specific as well. Like, Paul has to stand right next to the opponent for this to trip. Otherwise, if he doesn't, you get this, right? And you're going to die. You're dead. If you're slightly to the left or to the right, you're a bit off axis. For some reason, the clean hit property doesn't work at all. I swear to God, I've had Paul players stand like this. They're in kissing distance, and they do a demo man, and it doesn't trip me. And I can block it, and they die. Still has a bad jab. He still has bad jab strings. Still has bad 10-frame punish. So what does he have that's good? Perfect throw game. Very strong single hits. These are all nice. His down for 1 is nice due to the backswing. This is very good. You can go into sway 2, sway 4. This is very strong. This is very nice. But I think Paul just relies too much on opponents fucking up and pressing into him, and he's too honest. It's like, I need you to fuck up too much. I need you to run into this shit. I just don't find this stuff threatening enough. And he's too legacy. People know the matchup inside out. His 50-50 utility, in my opinion, was nerfed. From long range, he'll try and poke you with this. The forward 2 is a strong addition to the character. 13 frame, heat engager, -5 on block. It's very good. Down for 4 is a good button. Hammer of the Gods being chargeable is very nice for chip. Then you have other interesting stuff we could get into. His damage was recently buffed. If you do the new combo route, this one. 76 from a down for 2 is very respectable. He's a solid character. Heat not that good. This is very steppable. This is very steppable. Standout in heat is Heat Smash, in my opinion. It's a -12 low. That has very generous clean hit range. We're always tripped. This is very good. It's very good. It's just that everything else you kind of have to commit to forward 4 heat dash. Something like this maybe. It's interesting. But again, it scales a lot. But Paul has very high damage if he lands certain interactions. Like a Death Fist here. This will always do high damage. It's just that Death Fist is very steppable. Like, very steppable. I think Paul is too honest. He has too many shortcomings. His poking is not good enough. But he's still solid, you know. So he's somewhere around here. Next character is going to be Lee. I think... this is still bottom 10. But I still think Jack is probably better than Lee. Right, so Jack. Very strong backdash. Super long reach into I'll launch you from 50 miles away. If you're a strong fundamental Tekken player, you always are when you play Jack. Like, to make this character shine, you just have to be a really good player. But when you have those fundamentals, you can do some crazy stuff. Like Giga backdashes into launch from 50 miles away. This panic button, like 10 frame into Giga damage. 10 frame heat smash. It's really crazy. Pretty fucking insane. They gave him additional reach on his throws. He gets seeds, seeds guaranteed here. Plant for seeds, damage 1-2. So that's a 2 break that does, I mean, how much damage does this do in total? 65? From a 2 break? Like that's insane. This remains a good low poke mix up. He got the Gamma Howl, which has to be said, you know, it's a very fair stance. But also a pretty strong stance. This knockdown homing mid, safe. He has a guard break here whenever he's in heat. You've seen this a million times. It's a pretty scary mix-up. I guess his throws in general are super strong. He has launching throw, which is always a nice utility. Did I mention he's got a ton of reach? I hope I did. Jackhammer. Wait, oh, you're right. We have Giga's overkill for 1,000,000 damage. We have force field here. Heat engager armor, which is super nice. Always accessible for Gamma Howl. Got some nice poking, right, with Ford Free Gamma Howl mix-ups. It's just a very fundamental character that just excels at reach. Be it whiff punish or checking you from like very far away. That's what Jack excels at. Lee has always been the character you can't press into. He's basically Asuka, but for hardcore enthusiasts. Where Asuka is like pick up and play, Lee is more like an expert character. But it's sort of the same thing, like you just can't press into him. Like 11 frame counter hit launcher, say no more, back 4, 1+2, down for 2, a safe power crush, this power crush, down 3. It's like a minefield. You cannot press into Lee. If you press into Lee, he destroys you. Even if he blocks your attack and you're -10, like Acid Rain into Blazing Kick, this is guaranteed 47 damage. If you're -15 from far away, he gets an Acid Storm. Long range punish. For many reasons, like defensively, it's just a fucking titan. Lee's problem has always been, but what if the character I go, or the player I go up against is a defensive god? Because this is what you'll find in high ranks, in high level play, in competitive play. People have exceptional defense. And now here's where he's always struggled. How do I break your guard? Okay, you're not pressing into me. That's what I want you to do. But how the fuck do I break your guard? And this is where he's always struggled. And here he's never had a throw mix-up to mix with that. This throw even got nerfed, I feel, in this game. It used to give a Ford Free 4 into mix-up. Here he takes a Blazing Kick. So no throw game, and then with lows, this was buffed a bit for this game, but this is where I really overrated this character with Tekken 8. He got back free into misstep like this, and it's like, oh shit, he's got a low, motherfucker. But the more I played against Lee, the more I realized this is just not that good. This is one hell of a commitment. It's fast at 15 frame startup. It's a natural for 21 damage. It gives a +4, which is not a whole lot for an attack of this type. It's just that Lee kind of has to do 5 of these. 5 of these. To get you to duck. Well, that's a lie. He doesn't need 5 of them. He needs 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he does need 5. He needs 5 of those to make up for you getting the read on 1 and ducking. Because this is giga unsafe. If you duck that, this happens, right? This happens. And then you wake up at the wall, right? He needs 5 of these to make up for you ducking 1 of them. And even when it hits, it's like, oh, 21 damage plus 4. This is just not a killer low. I used to think it was, but it just isn't. And then if he wants to, he can commit to stuff like damage 3-4, which is a nice enough low, but it's a little bit slow at 21 frames. Gives plus 4, gives damage. That's nice and all, but it's risky to try and do stuff like this. It's not as evasive as it looks. And then he has a slide which does not knock down. He used to have a slide that knocked down and he could sort of vortex utility, but now he can link slides like this, but it is minus 15. He doesn't drop to the ground anymore. This is a very big problem. Like, he used to drop to the ground so you would float him with a while standing 4. But now when you block this now, oh, you're gonna eat a standing punish now. It really, really hurts. But he can also do, if he wants to, be cheeky and do a slide from afar, and it can suddenly be safe on block. I just don't really give a shit. Like, I'm not gonna, I don't give a shit if I eat the slide. He has these shortcomings in like trying to break your guard. I think his heat is garbage as well. He has sort of the worst heat in the game. What the hell is his heat outside of like, well, 4-3 into heat engager, or just doing this, like getting a power low, but it's still kind of trash. It does 37. Thankfully, it's not minus 15 anymore. It's minus 14, but it's awful on whiff. It can be stepped both sides. And if it's stepped, he commits to all of this. He doesn't cancel the animation like a lot of characters do. He will commit to the whole thing and he will look like an idiot for like 100 frames. But yeah, when he does score a counter at launcher, he has some of the biggest combos in the game. It has to be said also that when he's trying to 50-50 with this stuff, he doesn't like have a safe mid launcher to mix you up with to 50-50. Instead, he'll start doing stuff like this. Like this, you know? He really wants this one, you know? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm the GOAT, you know? He really wants this one, you know it. But that one is minus 13 on block. It's just not that good. In beginner and intermediate, he can blow everyone up, like they press into him, and he loves it. And you know, he'll do blam, blam. But at competitive play, trying to penetrate someone's guard with this character, it's one of the roughest times you'll have, I think. So for those reasons, I place Lee here. Okay, now it sounds like he should almost go lower, but maybe I should demonstrate then that, like, infinite wall travel, very high damage into this wall combo. Oh, sorry. So when I again stress his strength a little bit, his wall combo does obscene damage. Obscene damage. And again, in counter utility, this should be mentioned, right? This 10 frame. So again, I just don't want you to go under the impression that, you know, that's super nice. And again, he has these traps now as well, where if you try and stand here, this will reset this wall situation. He does have these Oki traps now, with his super strong wall combo. Now we are in B plus territory, so now we are in bottom 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we are in the bottom 7, so we're closing out. we're almost done. I'm sorry it took so long. I'm really trying to wrap up these characters in a quick general consensus, but it's just so difficult. Lidia is just very unimpressive in general. She has Super bad lows in my opinion. Like super trash lows. It's just so trash, it's pathetic. Her toolkit in general is super steppable. 442 is like the defining neutral button, like this into mix-up. But she's so option selectable here. A jab can really fuck her up. Which I think is why a lot of... Oh, sorry, what's the evasive option here? They'll do this. Like, oh, please don't jab. Please don't do... A king will like fucking giant swinger to death. But here, she'll do this low. But that creates problems of its own. Like, what if they do a jumping attack? What if they low parry? But very steppable in general. This is a good button, like back one. This is a +2 on block, mid heat engager. Very nice. That's nice. While running one. It's a pretty nice button. I mean, I guess her stance rush down bullshit. Going from stance to stance to stance, rushing you down, but mostly hoping you have no clue what she is doing. Because if you know the matchup, all of this is very vulnerable. It's just that people tend to not know the matchup. Doesn't strike me as a particularly strong character at all. Very stubby, shitty, feels slow and stiff as fuck on everything she does. It just feels like a Tekken 2 character, to be honest. And then the lack of tracking, the lack of strong buttons. I just don't think this is a good character. I think she relies too much on people not knowing what she's doing. Now we're again talking like fake mix-ups. Like I do damage 2. Then you're gonna take my mix-up here. Problem with Lars like 50-50s here is that it's pretty much always like option selectable. It's always beaten by like a step or a dick jab. We just don't have to take these mix-ups. And that's a problem for our boy Lars. He doesn't really have that 50-50 utility to break a guard. And that transitions into his neutral as well, in that, oh, I want you to duck, and the lows are just pretty... His best low is absolutely down like 4, but this is a defensive low. Like, please press into me. If you're defending, my lows are like, ish, that, which is very unremarkable. You won't do this to try and get someone to duck, but because it's so risky. This is super risky. His hell sweep is -3 on hit. He can do this one to get frames and mix up. Now you sacrifice damage, right? But that's still pretty nice into mix up. Really standout attack is dynamic entry 3. This is a really good move. Like it's good frames on block. Like +5. +5. And he automatically transitions into stance. So this is a homing mid heat engager. Yeah, this is basically his Dragon Lash. But again, it's quite slow. You can get floated out of it if you commit to it in the neutral. You have to do it from stance. Another nice attack is back 1+2. Mid homing, but does +9. 24 damage, safe on block. It's a very nice button. 1-1-1 is very nice. Can I hit confirm this? Heat engage or wall splat. It's a very nice move. It's just that everything is quite unremarkable. And he takes too big risks trying to mix you up. There's too much counterplay to what you're doing. And this is why you see very little of Lars in tournament play. It's that he's very annoying to fight against, but he's more annoying when he is strong. He's not strong, he's just annoying. And he doesn't have, you know, a great counter hit launcher in my opinion. He has back 4, but it doesn't launch. It is true damage though, because it transitions into a throw. But you'd much rather this be a counter hit launcher at 15 frames, obviously. You have forward 1+2, which is a nice it's a counter hit launcher. But the problem is that this is a forward attack. And what we want with counter hit launchers is that we want to be able to use them when someone's pressing into us. And as you're under the threat of offense, it's very hard to get out a dashing attack, forward 1+2. And this is fastest, like 17, 18 frames, you know. So, but when he has his panic buttons that are very risky, he has really good punishment. Like 12 frames, 424 is great. He can launch at 14 frames. It's long range as well. Like, and Arc Blast is a good whiff punish. So that's nice, you know. It's just that, yeah, the offense, in my opinion, not so much. And next character I'm gonna talk about is Devil Jin. Devil Jin is quite a misunderstood character in this game. He's arguably the worst character in the game you could play, considering the amount of work it takes to play a Mishima. He's the weakest Mishima, but still you're gonna rely on like 50-50 wave dash mix-ups like this, which we've been doing forever since the dawn of time. That is very hard to execute, or like wave dash cancels, all of that. He has a perfect electric now, which is great, but you know, that's very hard to do. But even if you master all of this execution, you have a character that is pretty lackluster. But that's no excuse for you losing online. That's what I try to say with this tier list in general, is that in this game, you have no dogshit characters. Even if you play Devil Jin, you're still B+. And you always hear, oh, he's garbage, if you play Devil Jin, you can't win a single match. And that's just very untrue, because you still have an electric. You still have a Hell Sweep where you do damage, right? You still have Shackle, which is a pretty crazy attack, right? You still have one of the best Oki moves in the game. That almost reminds me of stuff Yoshi would do. This charge-up attack. This move is absurdly strong. It is just absurdly strong. You can still do high damage with this character. Sorry, if you're not a complete idiot. Let's see. Do this. Oh, that doesn't splat. Okay, let's try again. Again, you can do a better combo. I've just started playing Devil Jin again after a long hiatus. I can do this. You can't tell me that's bad damage. And then my opponent is gonna wake up, and I can threaten you with this. Plus 24. On hit, this is plus 7, and there's almost no counterplay because you don't know if I'm gonna do a semi-charge, half charge, or full charge. You have no clue, so you'll stand still. So if you block it, you're in an absurd situation. You're slammed into the wall, you take chip. You don't know if I do the full charge when you get slammed into the wall, and it hurts a metric ton of damage. If I counter it for half charge, you didn't respect it, you get slammed anyway, and I get a million damage. I do the half charge, and I can apply a 50-50, right? I can do a completely uninterruptible safe demon pull to mid-splat. I can put you in this situation, and it's gonna be really fucking annoying for you. No, sorry, this is what we do. And it gets really annoying for you, right? Or after these frames, I'll just go, oh, you know what? I have a perfect full game. Take that mix-up. Like, you can't tell me this is a weak character, right? You can't. So he's B+. Even though in Tekken 8, he's like bottom 5, he's still B+, because this is a very balanced game and everyone has tools. So I just wanted to dispel this notion that Devil Jin is impossible to play. I do really well with him online, and he has a very strong win-loss ratio. He does well. The reason we say he's bottom 5 is because you can't show up to Evo top 8 and play against Arslan Ash and have this down for 1. That's just not going to work. It has too poor of a hitbox. It is -6 on block. This is not going to work. And against someone with top tier defense, this move is not going to work. It's too stubby, has too poor tracking. This has too poor tracking. This has no tracking. And you suddenly find yourself in a situation where you don't really dare commit to anything. You hope someone eats this because they try and do a lazy sidewalk. You try and clip someone with an electric. But outside of that, you're going to forward dash, block, and try and move in. This is, again, elite level Devil Jin. You're going to move in and try and play a small Tekken with jab, 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 which is still a great button. Just try and see what your opponent is doing and react accordingly. But yeah, it's problems with tracking. very risky committing to this stuff if a player is really good. And then this downward one is just straight up unacceptable. It's very poor. His jab is poor. His low pokes are poor. This is just down one on hit. It's not that good. This is not that good. If your opponent has strong throw breaks, he has to commit to house waves to open people up. And that's a large commitment. If this is blocked, Double Jin dies. And then your mids outside of heat are just not that scary. They are just not that scary. You're threatening a heat engager, right? Kazuya is threatening so much more at all times. You have some interesting evasive utility, turn stealing utility with this character, but it always comes at a huge cost. But that cost is only realized at the absolute highest level of play. Then you will really feel his shortcomings. Any other level of play, this character does well. People don't punish this shit. People don't step Demon Ball. People have, and again, this move, even at the highest level of play, is pretty fucking crazy. It's pretty fucking nuts. And his damage is high. But for those reasons, I put him in down here. It's just his shortcomings are too great. And if people are very in tune with the matchup, the counterplay hits Devil Jin really, really hard. He's super committal. So Eddy is just weaker than his Tekken 7 counterpart. His backdash is still good, but he had a better one in Tekken 7. And this complemented his whiff punish utility really well. This is a very long range punisher. But what Eddy has always been is like big, very risky mix-ups. Like different ways of going into relax or negativa. And then apply a mix-up. He can't stay in negative anymore. He has to commit. So he'll commit to a hell sweep. He lost his low launcher. Or he can do, for example, this one. But this is launch punishable. So he's always like very punishable. You'll see them mostly do this one now though. They'll do like 4-3 heat engager. This is minus 13, however. If he's in heat, this will launch. If he heat dashes out of it, but then he has to sacrifice his heat. His heat smash sucks in my opinion. Heat 3-4 is very steppable. Down for 1 is nice. It's homing. It's a homing down for 1. He shares this with Raven. Unfortunately, the only follow-up he has is a very slow high. This is natural, but it's of course unbelievably risky. Down for 2, needs a counter hit, doesn't launch. Up for 4 is nice. I mean, it's minus 9 on block, unfortunately, but still a homing mid that gives an uninterruptible mix-up. That's nice. Back 3-3 is still nice. 13 frame startup, counter hit launcher, but you can Twitch confirm. It's unfortunately quite minus, but no, still nice to have. I'm really trying to come up with like really good stuff. I just feel like he's a worse version of what he was in Tekken 7, and he wasn't spectacular in Tekken 7. Find a way to go into relax and do a super risky 50-50. That's basically it. Oh, sorry. Of course, he's one of these offenders. He also has a minus 9 on block, high, fast startup, power crush heating it. That is spammed all the time, even by Yondik. All the time. That's nice. But it doesn't save him, in my opinion, from being super unremarkable. But still has some solid stuff. We're gonna talk about Raven now. Raven is one of the worst characters in the game. I'm playing quite a bit of Raven now. I really like him. Like, I don't like his new outfit, but when you go with the Legacy Tekken 5 outfit, I think he's really cool, actually. And he's quite underappreciated. Like, he's a pretty sick character. And his rage art is really sick. He's got cool moves. Like, yeah, I'm gonna play some Raven. He looks sick in his armor. Let's just start with the good stuff. Down for 1 is homing and has decent reach. It is 14 frame startup and minus 2, but it is homing. and you can add this, and it does quite a bit of damage, but it's obviously unsafe at -14. Korsoko Fort 4 is a super nice keep out button that's hard to whiff punish. It's a launcher. While Stunning 2 is a counter launcher. It's 13 frame startup and -8 on block. So this resembles Azucena's While Stunning 1 a lot. But it's a really nice move. That's really nice. 4-2 free. This used to be unsafe, but it's now -9. It's a mid check natural combo that's got a ton of reach. You see the reach, right? This is really good. Oh, and down back 2. This is a really good poke. It's a very long range elbow check, where if he wants to, he can go into back turn mix up. Can also cancel this back turn to go away from you, like immediately. And +5 is pretty decent on block at -4. There's a threat of a follow-up, and here there's a threat of a projectile. He also has a parry that has a 1 frame startup. This is completely unique. So as pretty much the only character in the game, he can do something super cool like this. Like Jin lands his heat engager, and then he wants to take his 50-50, right? So I get a free forward free here, right? Well, oh sorry, Jin's is a little bit slow. It's a little bit slower. It comes out at what, 22 or 23? Yeah, 23. Kazuya can do a 20 frame one, but it doesn't matter. The same thing happens. 1 frame startup parry. Like 1 frame startup. So even if that was Kazuya with a 20 frame forward free, he would just beat the mix up. So heat engagers have less value against Raven, and heat engagers are very powerful. He can 50-50 from full crouch, but he has to access full crouch. This used to be a launcher, but it's gone. When every character in the game got a lot of love and got quite a lot of buffs in going from Tekken 7 to Tekken 8, I feel like Raven did not receive the same treatment. He's like, he just feels a step behind, and he feels very committal on everything. It's a very balanced character. And what sort of symbolizes in a nutshell how balanced he is the fact that his heat utility... I'm gonna do a clone attack. Clone attacks are always like -14 on block. So you can always punish them. These are the blue clones. But of course, when Raven goes into heat, he gets like, orange clones? Golden clones? And now we're -3. But this is such nice balancing in my opinion, and so fair, because we're so used to like, okay, this character's in heat now, so his attacks are now +7, right? But this is what I find so nice and down to earth about Raven. It's like when he's in heat, he's not -14, he's -3. And again, like he has a 1 frame startup parry. There are mind games here, but it's not his turn exactly, right? He's at -3. So I like that, and all of these strings have so much counterplay to them, right? And his heat smash was balanced from day 1. It's a projectile, but it has very fair reach. It's not full screen. It's very steppable to both sides. It's a character that has, you know, a few defining like strong attacks and strong mix-ups, but for all intents and purposes, it's just like super balanced and super like committal. Nothing's crazy. Nothing is crazy here, and he has large shortcomings. So that's why I place Raven there. And then arguably the worst character in the game. I'm just gonna say straight away with Panda. The reason I put Panda at redundant here, like Panda is stronger than these characters. It's just that there's just no reason to play Panda, hence the character is redundant. Because you can play Kuma and you get the same moveset, but a significantly stronger heat mechanic. He gets access to electric, the bear electric, that is just super OP and stupid. And he has a better heat smash. The character is redundant. Like anyone playing in a tournament who wants to play a bear is not going to play Panda. They're all going to play Kuma. So this character is completely redundant. But so the last character I'm going to talk about now is Asuka. Asuka is designed to be very easy to play. And you can, like in beginner and intermediate, it's a little bit like Lee, where people are gonna press like crazy. People are gonna mash. A lot of people, they love this buzzword or hot take on Tekken 8 that everyone is mashing and that's all about mashing. It's not at the highest level of play. People have very, very, very strong defense and they're very careful as to when they attack. And that's why characters like Asuka completely fall off the grid when it comes to competitive play. Because as soon as people have strong defense, the character is done. But in beginner and intermediate, you can do this, you can do your launching Sabaki, you can do this, you can do your infinite fucking parry, you can do step 2. Like, the sky's the limit, right? People press into you and you love it. They die and they have no clue what's going on. But just like Lee, the problems begin when you have a strong defensive player and you need to break their guard. Compared to Lee, you actually have a little bit of a throw game. You have up forward 1+2 for a 1-2 break. You have a 2 break. You have a launching throw, which is nice. Unfortunately, this is only access from full crouch, meaning you won't punish a mid power crush with your launching throw. So this is unfortunate for Asuka players. Now you have a standing mid launcher, which is launches on normal hit. But here's the problem always with Asuka. You have to stand so close to get this shit going. Like, a Kone or Kono, you don't wanna duck me. I get this into this, but this is launch punishable. And it's just so unbelievably stubby. To get anything going, you have to stand here. And then your small Tekken poking is just, in my opinion, just giga lackluster. Like, giga lackluster. Although damage free has to be said is a pretty nice low. When it comes to breaking someone's guard, I think like Lee, for example, out of these two characters, has slightly better options. I feel like here she is, for competitive play, it's going to be a nightmare trying to take someone down with Asuka for aforementioned reasons. She's too stubby, she has to stand way too close to get anything going, and even then the results are not, in my opinion, anywhere close to being like very, very satisfactory. I just want to stress again that no character is useless in Tekken 8. Even though I see this as the worst character in the game, it's just, you do any mistake and you get counter hit launched, or you get launched by like step 4, and it's gonna hurt so much, right? If you press in, you're not super good, you press into her game plan. But even if you are super good, this character is still B+, right? Can still mix you up with this unblockable bullshit. You miss a throw break. The Asuka player is God mode. He's really, really good. He knows how to mix you up. He gets this shit going. Any character can win in this game. Any character can compete. It's just that if you are on the lower end of things, you just have to work a bit harder. Again, this depends on level of play. If you're in beginner and intermediate, this character is better and does better than these two. It's just, there's so many factors in this game that this tier list only applies at the absolute highest level of play. If you're a beginner intermediate player, this doesn't apply. Any character can beat you, and you can beat anyone using any of these characters. That's something you have to remember. And then, online is also a factor. The absolute majority of matches are played online, and that online changes these characters. The most notable example for me is when he does a Jaguar sprint in Heat, right? And RKO is now unreactable. Whereas at the highest level of play, it is reactable offline, right? So online will always be a factor. And Tekken is now, for all intents and purposes, an online game. But yeah, I just have to stress that he is the weakest Mishima. Like, for example, he's the weakest one. Oh, sorry, here. But he has the highest win-loss ratio out of the Mishimas. And that's because, like, in beginner and intermediate, he kills everyone. With his back free, his samsara. He's so gimmicky. And that charge-up punch is straight up cheese. But the character changes when he goes into competitive play. The top ranks, he changes, and suddenly it's like you struggle. Don't pay too much attention to like the horizontal positioning left to right. Don't pay too much attention to that. Don't take from this list that, oh my god, Zafina is way better than Steve. No, sorry, Steve is way better than Zafina because he's, you know, a couple inches more to the left. That's not what I'm trying to say. But yeah, this has now been 3 hours and 10 minutes and my throat fucking hurts. But I hope you enjoyed the list. I always say when I start the tier list that I'm gonna give you guys, it's gonna be an hour now, but in the end, it's just what the hell is the point of making a tier list when you're gonna pick up one of these characters and say like, oh, Bryan has huge counter hits into huge damage, so he's S tier. What does someone stand to gain in terms of learning something by hearing a sentence like that? So does Paul. Lee can also do that. Why is Lee much weaker than Bryan? What do you stand to learn with an analysis like that? And Tekken characters are too complicated. So yeah, I hope you appreciate a little bit more of a detailed breakdown. I really tried. And I hope you all have a great day. Take care.